Hello YouTube, just wanted to do an introductory video of my off-grid system. I'm a member of the ATA, and as part of that I get these Renew magazines sent to me, and while reading one of them I came across this advert from Giant Power and thought it sounded interesting, so I jumped on their website and had a look and found this off-grid starter kit, which September, I think it was last year, so it's September 2015, I think it was either $3,700, so $3,795 or $3,895 or something similar to that for this basic system. And what the system came with, or comes with, it's exactly the same system. I'm not sure about pricing anymore, but basically comes with 24 volt 2400 watt integrated power system, which is basically these boxes. It's got the charger, inverter and solar controller all built into it. It comes pre-wired except for battery connections. I'll go through that later. In a nice little box. It came with 600 watt of solar panels, which is two 300 watt panels from my previous videos. And it comes with four 12 volt 125 amp hour deep socket batteries. In the 24 volt system they're wired series parallel, so two batteries in series with two batteries in parallel to make 24 volts, and that would be 250 amp hours at 24 volts. Comes in with the racking, the mounting feet and bits and pieces required, the cabling, circuit breakers, circuit breaker enclosures and all that type of thing for installation. There's also options for a kilowatt hour meter, which I'll go through later, which was an extra $100, and a generator input socket, which is pretty much the same as a caravan socket, that you can plug in a small generator or something to, which in my case I had those two options included. I also upgraded the inverter to a 48 volt 4000 watt inverter. The original inverter only comes with a 30 amp solar charger, sorry, a 25 amp solar charger and a 30 amp battery charger. The 48 volt 4000 watt version comes with a 60 amp solar charge controller and a 60 amp battery charger built in. Also, while I was at it, I got an extra 4 solar panels, so 6 in total. And I'll just show you that. I have covered up my address and phone number so I don't get trolls carrying on. So, order details. So the 19th of the 10th is when I ordered the system, and as you can see here, it's 1.5 kilowatts of SunTech panels, off-grid starter kit with upgrade to IPS to the 4000 watt model, 48 volt 125 amp hour batteries, which is exactly the same batteries as the 24 volt system, it's just the cabling is slightly different, and the generator input plug and the watt hour meter. So you'll see those there. And over the page gets broken down and basically cost me $6,698 delivered, and delivery was $808.60 because This comes from Queensland, as you can see there, Queensland, and I'm in Paraburdoo, Western Australia, which is pretty much in the north corner of Western Australia in the middle of nowhere, so it costs a fortune to have everything sent up here. So that's basically that. I'll just show you the enclosure and everything. So you can see my reflection. Hi. So this is the enclosure. As you can see, it's pretty much exactly the same as the video. Excuse the mess. Pretty limited on space here in my small office. On the side of the enclosure is the battery isolators, which are switchable fuses. I did get some spare ones as well. On the front of the enclosure is my old tablet PC, which runs Windows 7. I included that, mounted that on there just so I've got some way of monitoring what the system's doing and setting things up and all the rest of it. It's the battery enclosure at the bottom of the cabinet. It's got two shelves, and each shelf has the two batteries, and as it's 48 volts, it's all wired in series. There's the back of the isolator, and the battery's wired in series. Then in this top section is the solar system. So that's the Giant Power 48 4000. Everything's turned off at the moment. And I have made some modifications to the enclosure and the system. When I first started looking into this is how I found Just In Case Solar Power's YouTube channel and Jeremy O'Hara's solar YouTube channel. And watching them, I've found the modification to turn the cooling fans around from Just In Case. Thanks, Chris, for that. Good idea. So basically the cooling fans in this originally suck power from the top of the enclosure on both sides, draw it down over the cooling element inside, and then out through the sides and the bottom where it's all vented. Don't really think that's a good idea. Heat rises. So I've turned the fans over so that the cool air gets sucked into the bottom and then pushes the hot air up. Also, I changed that small fan there on the side, and up the top there is the thermal cutout switches. They were mounted, that's where the thermal switch was mounted, and these four holes is where that fan was mounted just there. Didn't really do much because of how much sort of space is made. No, there's only some small slits in here, so it didn't let much airflow in. So I relocated the fan to the side of the enclosure where it can help the small fans at the bottom suck the hot air out, and also relocated that thermal switch to above the unit so it gets a better idea of the actual temperature at the top of the enclosure where it's hottest. That switchboard came standard with it, as well as the solar input isolators. I'll just run through that first. So basically, your solar cables from your panels, strings, whatever, can come in through the bottom there or through the top. Once this system's installed properly, I'll have it coming in through the top. Plug that hole up, and there'll be east facing strings on one breaker and the west facing strings will be on the other breaker, just to keep it all separate. That all came standard, as all these labels and stickers and things all came standard as well. I've installed a large 240 volt cooling fan as well through the top of the enclosure. That's controlled by, at this stage, the same thermal switch as the side cooling fan here. So when this one comes on, that one comes on as well. In the switchboard there is a 48 volt coil and 240 volt switch to turn on that fan. And there's fuse protection and 48 volt control side up in here, which I've wired up. I have got a higher rated thermal switch up there as well, so that if I need to have it cut in later, the thermal switch for this small fan's 40 degrees, and I bought 45 degree one for the larger fan, but at the moment they both come on at the same time, but I can adjust that just by taking our link out of the terminal strip up here. That's just so that it doesn't run excessively, gives that small fan a bit of time to cool things down, and if it can't, it'll kick the big fan in to give it a hand. The power point wasn't there, I've added that in. I am a licensed electrician, so all this 240 volt stuff I've done myself. The power point's so I can have my tablet PC power supply plugged in. It is an old tablet and the battery on it's getting a bit far gone. On battery power it only runs for about maybe 40 minutes or so with the screen turned off, and about 25-30 minutes with the screen on. But it still works perfectly fine as a computer, so I just don't care really. There's the watt hour meter that came as an option. RCD for the power point, and we've got a solar supply main switch which turns the inverter off, and that's the side that goes to your switchboard, say to run a house or shed or whatever else. And the normal supply switch on this side is a 16 amp breaker, and that comes from the generator input, which I have removed for the moment because when this is installed, the generator input plug will be on the opposite side of this enclosure on the external part of the shed. So it was mounted on the side there on the other side of the enclosure. I've removed it for the moment, doesn't need to be there. That's pretty much it really. It's got a USB hub there for the PC, document holder. I've got some all the sales stuff stored in that, so I don't lose everything. I've also made up a manual with all the software, the leaflets, pamphlets, information, specifications of the solar panels, a record of all the serial numbers off the solar panels in case they get pinched, the software manual, everything's pretty much in here, so that's there. And that's pretty much it. That's my off-grid system. Hope you like that. If there's anything you need to know or want to know, if you want me to go deeper into certain aspects of this, just leave some comments. That's on a swivel because the power switch is actually underneath the tablet. If there's any, like I said, if there's anything you want to know, anything else you want me to cover, talk about, etc., just let us know in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. Alright YouTube, hope you enjoyed that. Catch you later.